Mainstream archaeology categorically rejects these American Ogham rock inscriptions as authentic because they're inscribed on flat surfaces. In Ireland, ancient Ogham is generally found along the edges of stone pillars. British archaeologist Keith Fitzpatrick Matthews, best known for online rants at badarchaeology.com, which conforms to mainstream archaeology's thinking, puts it bluntly, quote, "To see scratches on a flat rock surface as Ogham goes against everything we know about the real thing. This is not speculation on my part. These are the uncomfortable facts for anyone who wants to believe in Fell's supposed Ogham," unquote.
This is Old Gaelic, and we're guessing at the vowels because the vowels aren't written.
Barry Fell authored books challenging the collective beliefs of archaeology and linguistics that North America was isolated from contact by ancient sailors and explorers. Mainstream's public enemy number one died more than 2 decades ago. Fitzpatrick Matthews singles out Fell as the lone personality in his targeted attacks. My evidence demonstrates Keith is flat wrong about the absence of the flat style in the home of Ogham, Ireland's preferred pronunciation of Ogham in America. McGillicuddy's Reeks, the eastern end.
My grandfather's family, tried to take the stone away as it was an obstruction for cultivation in the field. So they dug down as deep as the stone stands above the ground, and it was still going down. So they quit and filled in the hole.
Outstanding in his field, landowner Tom on the 13th of May, 1988. This magnificent standing Ogham was spotted off the roadside in the rural Killabunane district near the border of counties Kerry and Cork. I had parked in Tom's drive to ask for a closer look. This tribute was inscribed along an imaginary vertical stem line of about 50 inches in length. The stone pillar appears to be a memorial honoring Otten Maciwethe in Gaelic, Otten, son of Sweden, in English. Had Ireland's historical preservation authorities taken notice of this monumental stone and its Ogham inscriptions? I asked the gracious landowner.
Public Works.
Public Works. Never took any interest in that.
Well, I got a clue for you because that's an unusual style.
Yeah.
And the style, many archaeologists say, well, that's a forgery because it's not on the edge of a stone. It's not written on the edge of a stone.
Yeah.
See, most of the tombstones, most of the gallones, are written with the stem line that you have here on the sides, you know. And they use that stem line and then cut through it like that.
Yeah.
And there's another one near the Gap of Dunlow that I pointed out to their attention. And they didn't take much interest in that one either. And it was lying, there were 7 Ogham stones like this, standing up in a semicircle, and the one with the flat inscription was lying on the ground, and the tourists were scattering pea gravel on it and ruining it. Katie and I were just there the other day, and the stone's been removed.
Yeah.
So at least it's not being damaged anymore. But you see, you have your little vowels here too. They're just these points. In America, we don't have the vowels. We just have the consonants. We just have the consonants.
They have the cross lines in it. We don't have the dots.
See, and this is all implied stem line because there's no. We have a groove that goes right through it.
Oh, yeah.
The one up in Dunmanway had a center groove. It just went right through the center of the inscription. But here it's implied. That's good.
In 1988, this was a bed and breakfast in Dunmanway, County Cork.
And through that gateway, you walk a little ways to find the very special Ogham stone right there, covered with moss. At the very top of this rock, there are some very shallow scorings right through here, almost they could be natural, although they feel pretty sharp. They're a little thinner than these. But we basically have one inscription of 11-inch stem line here, one inscription of a 14-inch stem line here, with an 8-pointed star at the beginning, and an 8-pointed star alone by itself, without any further inscriptions down here. One of the inscriptions runs like this, and the others like this. They're both very good examples of Flat Ogham. We're looking off in the direction toward Bantry Bay. And that's the stone. Very, very fine example of Flat Ogham in Ireland. It's 1, 2, 3, 1 down, 2 across, and 1 across, 2 across, 1 up, 2 up, 3 up, 1 cross, 1, 2, 3, 4 down. This is the pillar stone in Hawkinstown. It used to stand upright. We believe it has toppled over end for end. And I'll zoom in on what appears to be, from our observation, the irregular Ogham. It's obvious that this Ogham was not carved on the edge, but along an implied stem line on the face, and it may continue into the water. We don't know how much more of the stone is submerged. It's Hawkinstown off N2. This is the face of the Rathkenny stone, north of Rathkenny in County Meath. And the inscription begins down here. This whole face of the rock has Ogham on it.
After this blustery visit to the partially collapsed dolmen in January 1987, I returned the next year in May.
The light is pretty good. These are cup and circle marks inside one of the support stones at Rathkenny. They're beautiful. They really are lovely.
At the National Museum of Ireland in Dublin, many fine artifacts are curated and on display. Others are in storage in the museum's crypt below street level. Among the antiquities displayed is this silver-bossed penannular brooch from Ballyspellin in County Kilkenny, dated to the 9th century. This clasp once decorated a woman's shoulder. On the other side, a silver lining, finely etched with at least 3 detailed Flat Ogham inscriptions, difficult to make out in detail in this zoomed into the Max 1987 video through glass.
So I could be back at 2.
You'll be back at 2, yeah. Because I'll be tied up shortly.
All right.
And because it's down the stairs, we have to have somebody else. We have to have somebody in there.
This is in the crypt or the basement of the National Museum in Dublin. These are Ogham stones that are not on display presently. This stone is similar to the Ballintaggart stones. It's a round stone. 1 slash 1 2 3 4 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 1 2 3 1 2 3. This one may all go all the way through. 1 2 3 4. That's the one that's westernmost. This is looking north from the Ballintaggart stones. The southeasternmost stone we're about to look at. That's it. Notice the cross on the top of the stone. This is the southwesternmost stone, and the westernmost stone behind it.
8 large rounded stones are neatly arranged in a circumference around a central stone, each with vertical grooves.
This is the Kilcolman site. We're shooting it from the southwest. The sun is to the northwest. It's an example of Flat Ogham. It runs up the side Continues around on the top and angles down on the bottom. This is part of the stone circle at Kilcolman. That is the stone circle, and it's quite wide in diameter, probably about 30-40 yards. And we're looking at it from the north. The sun is in the northwest, and that's Ventry Harbor down there. So you can see that the Kilcolman stone circle is about 2 miles north-northeast of Ventry, town of Ventry, on the Dingle Peninsula.
The Dermania Grania stands in glory, but in the past this county Tyrone dolmen in Castledurg came to a violent and sudden end. Under the caprock, somewhat sheltered, is what appears to be the terminus of a Flat Ogham inscription, but as the camera zooms out, other grooves appear along the edge, topside only. It's likely the collapse sheared a thin, inch or two thick veneer from the face of this once vertical support stone and disappeared as small stones. These ruins are on the high end of a field, just beyond the hospital in the town of Castledurg. Given the evidence, and using some deductive reasoning, I'm confident our family of Flat Ogham inscriptions in Ireland welcomes this candidate too.
Here we are in the County Clare. It's a long, long way from here to there. It's a long, long way from there to here.
You have to have a shaky voice to match the video.
It's a long, long way. It gets farther every day. It's a long, long way from there to here. Here we go.
At the southern foot of Mount Callan is Bullinagriana Lake, and just above it, on a hillside, a stone with Flat Ogham inscriptions sensationalized in the first volume of the Transactions of the Royal Irish Academy.
The Mount Callan inscription is 200 yards north of this lake, uphill to this site. It's lying on its back, probably. Same stone from the other side looking down. Seems to give the grooves better definition.
In 1788, the RIA published Discoverer Theophilus O'Flanagan's report of 3 years earlier. Among schoolmaster John Lloyd's translations, beneath this lies Conan, the fierce and nimble-footed. The reference is possibly to a great member of the legendary Fianna clan. Another translation, long let him be at ease on the brink of this lake, that never saw his faithful clan depressed. 84 years later, Sir Samuel Ferguson dismissed the Conan Ogham in another RIA publication, citing the Ogham's rarity, if not uniqueness, in all of County Clare. But in the early 1900s, Irish Ogham cataloguer and professor of Celtic archaeology at University College Dublin, R.A. Stewart McAllister, renewed the acceptance of a wider body of evidence as authentic, with variations allowed. Obstructionists reign in the field of archaeology, not knowing what they don't know. Fitzpatrick Matthews indignantly dismisses his team's whipping boy, while, as an online archaeological authority, propagating falsehoods about Ogham to the public. Let's close with Dr. Fell's take on Ogham epigraphy and its telltale roots.
The origin of it is very different from what the Encyclopedia Britannica will tell you, or what archaeologists who commonly quote that source of information will tell you. The Encyclopedia says it was invented in London about the 4th century AD by people who knew Latin. And that's just sheer guesswork and turns out to be quite unreliable. We have inscriptions from Britain which archaeologists date back to 2200 BC, written in Ogham without vowels, in the form of a little amulet that somebody wore in the vicinity of Stonehenge, people called the Windmill Hill people who built Stonehenge. One of their members wore an amulet begging the protection of the mother goddess Bianu. The language is Celtic. The goddess Bianu is Celtic, the mother goddess, the Celtic mother goddess. The date is 2200 BC, and that's the oldest example of Ogham we know of.